evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. I am Heena Gambhir. In a shocking incident, two women were allegedly stripped and assaulted at their residence in Sarjapur on the outskirts of Bengaluru. It all started after one of the victims had taken a loan at around 30% interest rate for the education of their daughters and for running a small business from multiple money lenders. Then these money lenders barged into their residence and allegedly disrobed the victims. After the video of this incident went viral, a complaint was registered. 3 people have been booked, 2 arrested, 1 is absconding. Now this, viewers, happened just 30 kilometers away from India's IT capital, Bengaluru. My colleague Neha went to the location and spoke to the sisters. Here's a report.
In India today, we talk a lot about educating the girl child and helping bring women, in fact, forward in every field. And even as we talk about this, a very unfortunate incident coming to light from Karnataka, just about 30 kilometers away from Bengaluru city. Well, 2 women were in fact stripped and assaulted as they were unable to repay the loans that they had taken for the education of their daughters. The money lenders over here who had loaned them, in fact, this amount at a 30% interest rate, arrived at their doorstep, stripped the women and beat them black and blue. Well, even as we're reporting this, 2 of the 3 accused have been arrested. But the bigger question really of how today people are still allowed to take the law and order into their hands and humiliate women like this left, right and center. I'm going to be taking this straight now to the victims over here who were a part of this unfortunate incident. Madam, namaste. First of all, namge neevu helakagatta andre nimd 2 makkaliddare nimdu kuda neevu avruddu education aganta neevu loan tagondidri adu yavaga tagondri matte avaru ivaga eshtu vayasu avaru ಏನು ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ?
ಮೇಡಮ್ ನಾವು ತೊಗೊಂಡು 5 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯಿತು. ಲಕ್ಷ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿರೋದು 30% ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರಿ. ಕೊರೋನಾ ಟೈಮಿಂದ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ದೌರ್ಜನ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಡೆದು ಗಲಾಟೆಗಳು ಮಾಡಿ ಅಪ್ಪ ಬಿಡ್ಸೋಕ್ಕೋಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ರು. ಅದು ಸುನಿಲ್ಲು, ಇಂದ್ರಮ್ಮ, ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ರೆಡ್ಡಿ ಅವರು ಬಂದು ಏಕೈಕ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಡೆದು ಮಾಡಿ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ನಾವು ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ ಅಂತೇಳಿದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಂದು 1 ಲಕ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ 11 ಲಕ್ಷ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ತಾಯಿನೂ ನಮ್ಮಪ್ಪ ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಂದು ಕಾಲಾವಕಾಶ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೂ ಅವ್ರು ಕಾಲಾವಕಾಶ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ.
Well, that was the mother of, 2 women over here, 2 daughters over here, in fact, who's gone on to say that what's happened is that while they've taken the loan in 2016 and they had been paying the interest, 30% interest on this loan until the pre-COVID times, it was during COVID that they were unable to pay this loan. And while the lenders too had, in fact, taken them to the police station and a settlement was agreed upon, despite that, the unfortunate incident on Sunday where these women were, in fact, pulled out of their homes. The father of these women was locked inside one of the rooms. They were stripped inside their own house, right, in full public view, in fact, in the courtyard of their house. And that's precisely what's happened. She's also gone on to add that, they had no intention to not pay the loan and that was settled in the police station.
3 ತಿಂಗಳು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಏಕಾಏಕಿಯಾಗಿ ಸಂಡೇ ನಾವಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ತಂಗಿ ಮೇಲೆ ದೌರ್ಜನ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಬಂದು ಆಯಿತು ಏನೋ ಸಮಾಧಾನದಿಂದ ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ, ಇದು ದೌರ್ಜನ್ಯ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಸರಿ ನಡೀರಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಅಪ್ಪನೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಒಂಥರ ಫುಲ್ ಇದಾಗೋಯ್ತು ಮೇಡಮ್.
Very teary-eyed victim over here telling us that while the money, of course, is one thing, what happens to the dignity, what happens to the self-respect that these women were stripped of merely because they could not pay back these loans. The bigger question also today, while we are covering the story, is about whether the government, in fact, has failed in terms of reaching out to the smaller villages, in terms of reaching out to the rural areas and helping in educating these children. And that is what we are going to leave you with today. In Bengaluru, with video journalist Nagendra, this is Neha Hebale for Mirror Now.
So that was a report that my colleague Neha Hebale sent to us. She spoke to the sisters, the victims here who were assaulted, who were disrobed in their own house. Why? because they could not repay the money that they had borrowed to run a small business and to also educate their daughters. But the question that we are asking tonight is this not a mockery of Beti Bachao Beti Padhao? Can we accept this kind of depravity in 2022? You know, we have the visuals as well of the incident, but we don't want to show those visuals. They are very disturbing visuals in which we can see this woman without clothes was there in her house after this entire incident took place. And these are very, very disturbing visuals. We do not want to show those visuals. And that's why we're showing you these visuals. We're telling you this story because we can't accept this kind of depravity in the year 2022. Let me go across to my guest joining us on this debate this evening. We will be joined by Mohan Krishna, spokesperson of the BJP Leader on the panel. Lalitha Kumaramangalam, former Chief NCW, is going to be joining us. Lavanya Ballal, spokesperson of the Congress Party, is live with us. L N Rao, former DCP Delhi, also will be with us in just a bit. Appreciate all of you for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Lavanya Ballal, let me begin the discussion with you. You heard what the girls had to say, what these women had to say. They had borrowed money and they were assaulted, they were disrobed because they could not pay back. I mean, people out there very, very close to Bengaluru, the IT's capital of the country, could assault women like this. No fear of law at all?
Actually, Anital is not very far from the heart of the city, from MG Road. If you look at the timing, the time that you take to travel is hardly about 45 minutes to 1 hour. And it is within this huge Bengaluru city. It's not very far from the city if we are talking about the rural Sarjapur or this place, Anital. It's very shocking, very disturbing. I also feel it's a collective failure of all the governments and the society that we are unable to educate women, and they have to go to money lenders to pay for the fees of their a girl child's education, especially when we have governments which are stressing on taking care of daughters. Like you said, the Beti Bachao program was launched, and I think it is a failure that it has not reached these children. And after 5 years of paying this kind of 30% interest, exorbitant interest, to not be safe within the confines of their own home. If they're not safe within their own house, where else can women be safe? I mean, that is the last place women expect to be assaulted by somebody, right? This is very heartbreaking. And also what is very, very angering for me, which triggers me, is the fact that the cops refused to file a case for 2 days. Will this guy be given suspension or will he be sent on a punishment duty somewhere else? Ideally, I think these kind of police officers should be removed from their work for the dereliction of duty. They should not be posted elsewhere as punishment duty. This is what I feel. Thank you.
Mr. Mohan Krishna, how will you like to respond? What will you tell these two women today who were assaulted, who were disrobed by money lenders, by people from whom they had borrowed money? And also another very important aspect that Lavanya has touched upon, and that is about that even though, the government talks about financial inclusion, this case tells us that there are still many places in the country where the formal banking system has not really reached. And these people have no option but to go to these money lenders and take loans, take money at exorbitant interest rates, and then face this, no fear of law.
Very good evening, Heena. Look, the irony of the country has been exposed today, wherein I would like to make a point today why it has been exposed in such a way. First of all, my condemnation on the brutality of the assault they have made on these two children for education loan. But at the same time, the
kind of language Lavanya Ballal has used, that government has not done anything. And the promo of yours also says that we have not reached the people in the country in last 5 years or 8 years for that matter. I would like to make few points here. Heena, do you know who is the MLA there? Congress MLA. You know who is the MP there? Congress MP. If you see these kind of things happening, this is not happening where we have BJP MLAs and BJP is very active for that matter, or BJP MP we have. We are reaching to we have a program called Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. Accordingly, our aim is to reach the end people who are suffering, and we want to take them out of this trouble. Out of everything, I will promise these students today, I request you to send me the number or give my number to those assaulted students or parents. Let them talk to us. We will provide the best help from our side and see to it that these things will never happen from our end.
Mr. Mohan Krishna, I will get Lavanya Ballal to respond to the point that you have made, that the MLA of this area is from the Congress party, the MP representing this area is of the Congress party. I will get Lavanya to respond to that. But before that, Mr. Mohan Krishna, are you then trying to say that if something happens in a constituency which has a Congress Neta, a Congress MLA or a Congress MP, then the BJP, whose party is in power, the party that's in power in the state of Karnataka, is not going to bother? And second, what does this incident really tell us? That probably there is no fear of law at all. That is the reason why maybe 7 or 8 people can barge into somebody's home, lock the father in the room, and then disrobe and assault 2 women like this? What are you talking about, Mr. Mohan Krishna?
I'm just telling you the same thing. Why I quoted that there is a Congress MLA and Congress MP. They have made sure that our schemes for the students have not reached them properly. For that reason, I requested on your show today, please give my number to them. Those who have deceased today, for them, please give my number. We will attend to the problem. We will see to it that the government also takes the initiative to take care of the assaulted people, as well as I will promise you those students, for them, we will take care of the education. We have beautiful schemes in the pipeline, or it is there already.
I know the schemes are beautiful. That is the reason why we are raising this issue today. Lalitha Kumaramangalam, Beti Bachao Beti Padhao is a motto of the Prime Minister. This is what he talks about. But in reality, see what is happening, and that too so close to the IT capital of the country, on the outskirts of Bengaluru, ma'am. You know, we can't show those visuals because they are very disturbing.
Ms. Gambhir, let me request you also. No, sir, she was talking to me. Let me request you also not to make this into a BJP versus Congress issue. This is what happens with most women's problems in this country. And with all due respect to you, you're a very senior television anchor. I've been saying this, shouting from the rooftops for years now, that the moment we politicize issues like this, what happens is that in the end, women end up suffering. The point here is that in 2022, regardless of who's the MLA, who's the MP, who's the party in power, men still are able to get away with such behavior. The people who need to be really pulled up are the policemen. It is my party that is in power.
I'm glad, ma'am, you raised this point, and that is the reason why we are doing this story today, when politically a lot is happening in the country. But it was Mr. Mohan Krishna of the BJP who started by saying that there is a Congress MLA, there is a Congress MP. Congress does not allow our schemes to reach them, and hence this.
But I am not here. This is exactly what I'm trying to tell you, that I'm not here to play the BJP versus Congress game. There are 2 people from one person each from each of those parties. Let them talk on behalf of their parties. What I am saying is, as a women's activist for the last 34 years, and as a former head of the NCW, one of the biggest problems in this country is that when such issues actually come out in the open, it gets politicized. And that's really a death knell to any solution that can be found. What needs to be now done is for somebody to reach out, whether it's the BJP or the Congress or the state government or the central government, to reach out to the family and find out how some sort of relief could be given to them. And also to make sure that the police who did not file the F.I.R. immediately are taken to task as per the law. I have no idea how the law will deal with this, but they should be taken to task as per the law. Thirdly, what we need to understand is this is really a social evil. It is at home that women face the most violence, whether it's sexual, whether it is financial, whether it is social or cultural. And this is what needs to change, the mindset. In that, I agree with what the Congress spokesperson said, but the rest of it, by politicizing it, we are going to get nowhere in finding a solution. Every time something like this happens, we come on TV, we talk big, regardless of which party we may be from. The anchors generally tend to either take one side or the other. And what happens is that the issue gets buried. Unless these issues are taken up, I mean, almost
I can assure you, Ms. Lalitha Kumaramangalam, that does not happen on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. The reason why we pick up these stories is because for us, the people of this country are very, very important. Yesterday as well, when too much was happening, for us the concern was an ex-army major who died because of a pothole.
And talk about, yes, that is equally bad, but that has nothing to do with this. They're two totally different issues. You want to argue about, you want to talk about that, I'm willing to talk about it.
That is exactly what I'm saying, ma'am, that for us, it's not about politics that's important. We want to highlight what these women had to go through so that nobody else has to face what they had to face in their own home.
We all want that, Ms. Gambhir. It's not just you and your television, your particular channel. Every sane thinking person in this country wants that. Which is why I'm saying with utmost respect that please, let's get it out of the BJP versus Congress versus whatever party is there, out of that ambit and talk about it.
I have not made it BJP versus Congress, ma'am.
Finding solutions.
It was the representatives of these political parties who want to make it BJP versus Congress.
Is it only them? You need to ask
Mr. Mohan Krishna.
Yeah, let me answer
Mr.
with due respect to Ms. Lalitha Kumaramangalam. I accept your comments, madam. I did not want to politicize things, but I would like to highlight and expose the duplicity, the hypocrisy of the opposition parties and Congress today on this show, just to highlight, just because of their ignorance, the women, as you rightly said, children or sufferers, they have suffered. As you also mentioned that someone has to reach, we have already extended our support, and I request Ms. Heena Gambhir to give my number to the persons, those who have been assaulted or the persons who are suffering. For them, I will certainly help through the government schemes, to help them to come out of this situation. And as far as F.I.R. and the action taken to be against the police as well as to the assaulters, it will be taken. Already arrest has been made. The absconding person will be searched, and wherever he has unearthed in this country or wherever, he will be brought. And I am the person who wants to give respect to the women in this country, in this world, and we will provide that. As I was just got into this politics issue because
the assurance that you are giving to us, because the idea is to, one, help this family, and second, to ensure this does not happen again. I know Lavanya Ballal wants to respond, but before that, let me go across to Mr. L N Rao as well. Of course, promises, sir, are being made that, we will ensure this does not happen. We'll take care of the family here. But the point is that such depravity in 2022 is shocking. It's still happening, even though we keep talking about the importance of educating a girl child. We keep talking about protecting the women in this country. But despite that, something like this has happened very, very close to Bengaluru, raises many questions. Is there no fear of law? And what is the duty of the police officials who are present there? We are getting to know that, the complaint was also not filed immediately. It was only after the video went viral that complaint was registered. Now also one person is absconding.
Heena, this is very serious incident which has been reported here. And I think that the sensitivity and the seriousness of this case was not taken care by the concerned police officers, because as per law, there are Supreme Court guidelines on such issues. When there is loan is not paid, then they cannot just bargain to somebody's house, and what they have done, that is very shameful for the women. For these persons, they have stripped of these women and done all illegal acts, and after that, immediately the police did not take action. That concerned police officers are responsible for that, and they should be, I think, taken care of. Strict action, departmental action, or whatever action is required, that will be taken on against those persons. And the investigation of these cases should be speedily done, and the sensitivity about this women security and safety, that is most important aspect of the government to be taken care. But in this case, I think that all sort of rules and regulations have been done away with by these criminals. And actually, what you have said is that there does not seem to be fear of law in the mind of these people, what they have done in this case. So now let us see how this why this has happened, and why this case was not registered at the initial stage. And after this video was viral, then the police officers reacted upon it. It shows that how the police of Karnataka, especially near Bengaluru, they are so sensitive about this. What we are talking about, our government is talking about the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, and all due regard is given to the women police. Only that is on paper, and the I think practical aspects. So this is one of the cases in our country. There are so many other cases on the remote areas which go unreported. That is also a fact. Mrs. Lalitha Kumaramangalam must be knowing, because she had been DCW chief earlier. She must be knowing what sort of agony is being faced by the
NCW chief.
Yes. What sort of agony has been being faced by these victims in our country, especially by the women victims. So we all have to change our mindset. This was not a very big case that the money was not returned so that they can do all these illegal acts against these poor women. So we have to see what is the government is doing, what the police will be doing, and what is the outcome of this investigation.
Right. Okay. Lavanya Ballal, then Ms. Lalitha Kumaramangalam.
Yes. First of all, I appreciate Mirror now for bringing up this topic, because it goes a long way in throwing light on issues like this. Ideally, I would have loved to debate with the BJP spokesperson, who is a female spokesperson, not to take away anything from Mr. Mohan Krishna, but a woman would have had a different perspective maybe to the entire issue where it concerns women. My fear right now is, why hasn't the NCW Chief of State, Ms. Pramila Naidu, she has not yet responded, or she's not given a statement about this. Neither has the Women and Child Welfare Minister, Mr. Halappa Basappa Achar, has responded to this. Aragya Jnanendra has not responded. Home Minister has not responded to the dereliction of duty by the policemen, and neither has the CM responded to this. The question is not about our spokesperson from BJP responding to the issue. There are concerned authorities and ministers and departments who are supposed to be responding to such issues and preventing such issues from happening. So we have seen that this has happened. Also, our BJP spokesperson here, Mr. Mohan Krishna, said, oh, there is a Congress MLA, there is a Congress MP. Does that mean in that jurisdiction where the assembly is, MLA is Congress MLA, that BJP, which rules the Karnataka state, does not have a say, that the law and order is not maintained by the BJP governing party? Is that what he means to say? That it is Republic of Congress in that constituency? I'm sure he will disagree, because it is not even 1 hour from Vidhan Sauda. If you cannot maintain law and order and safety of women within this 45 minutes, travel journey of space, what about the hinterlands of Karnataka? What kind of law and order exists in Karnataka? This shouldn't have happened. This should not happen.
come in,
Strict action
Ms.
must
Lalitha
be taken.
Kumaramangalam, shouldn't the NCW take note of what has happened?
May I just come in, please? May I just come in, please?
Mr. Mohan Krishna, 1 second. Let Ms.
Wait,
Lalitha Kumaramangalam respond. I'll give you time to respond as well.
Before the NCW, the State Commission should take cognizance of this. I don't know if they have. If they haven't, they certainly should. And there should be some sort of inquiry set up by the State Commission, which looks at really the role of the police, because the police are supposed to be anywhere in the world the first call of protection for any woman, especially when she is under siege in her own home. One automatically thinks of going to the police to complain. In this particular case, whether it's the inspector or somebody senior or junior, they took 2 days to file the F.I.R, which itself is, as the gentleman, the policeman who spoke before me said, there are laws that are supposed to, protect people who come into complain, especially women. And I've already said this, they must be taken to task to the full extent of the law. What happens normally is that they are pulled up, they're transferred, they're suspended for a little while, etc. But for once, some policemen should be made an example of, and they need to be taught that you can't just, take a personal decision on whether something is important enough for you to file an FIR or not. You file an FIR when somebody comes to you with a complaint, especially a complaint as serious as this. Not repaying a loan, the people who have given the loan have the right to go to court to get that money back, but you cannot go to anybody's house, anybody's, regardless, and strip them, especially when they're women. And I'd like to say this also shows the horrible, dirty mindset of men still in this country. If a boy had, if the loan had been taken for the boy, I'm 100% sure this wouldn't have happened. Stripped and assaulted is very rarely done to men. I'm not saying it should be done to them. I'm just saying that gender depravity and exclusion starts right there at the bottom, at the grassroots. And that every government has to now take that very, very seriously and start work on changing the mindset of people. Unless we do that, however many laws we may have, the police is also part of public, ultimately. They have the same mindset that everybody else seems to have, who thinks that women are just objects and we can deal with them any way we want. And I mean, who's really going to bother? The police will also tell you we have hundreds of other cases, etc. But here we are talking about a country that in 2022, you have girls who want to be educated, a mother who's taken a loan in order to educate her daughters. And then just because they can't pay back the loan immediately, I believe that was the demand. They're debased, their self-respect, they're debased in the worst possible way by using gender to shame them. Actually, the man who lent the money, who did all of this, should be shamed publicly by the police. If not the police, I request the BJP gentleman sitting there on your thing to use his MLA, to use his MP to name and shame these people. This is one of the ways in which we can stop it. Unless they are publicly shamed, this will go on, whether it's in Bangalore, whether it's in Delhi, whether it's in Assam, whether it's in Tamil Nadu, it doesn't make a difference. The mindsets we have to sometimes use these sort of tactics, which many people may not agree with me when I say this, but I would request you all to name and shame those people who have actually done this. The police, of course, must be dealt with, but the MLA and the MP, regardless, and the local government, regardless of even if they're from different opposing parties, they need to work together on this. I really request all of you all very humbly to do this.
Mr. Mohan Krishna, will this happen? Can you assure us?
It's Heena, let me tell you what Lavanya Ballal was talking. It's quite opposite to what Ms. Lalitha Kumaramangalam is speaking. I will tell you why I quoted Congress MP, Congress MLA, just because we have beautiful schemes. Our aim is to see that the woman should not suffer, especially with regard to education or any for that matter. Why that has not been reached? That has not been reached because the Congress people, they want to defame BJP in that area, particular area, and that is the way it has been done. As Lavanya Ballal was saying, It is a Republic of Congress only there. She has accepted on your show today. It's a Republic of Congress. People know here, and we'll try to come out of it. We will try to come out. People are so educated today, and
No,
we will
but
teach a
still,
lesson
all
to
of
the
this
people
does
who are
not,
doing this.
address the key
Let me-
issue
let me
here.
please,
Two
don't
women
interrupt,
were
don't
disrobed,
interrupt.
2 women were
Don't
assaulted.
interrupt, please. Let
I
me-
don't
let
think
me
you heard
explain.
what Miss
Let me
Lalitha
ex-
Kumaramangalam had to say. The reality on the ground is very different from what you're telling us, sir.
Let me tell you, Heena, please don't interrupt. I am coming to what Lalitha Kumaramangalam was speaking. Don't interrupt me. What she has said is very right, that women should be given respect. They should be taken care. Their safety is utmost important for us. As she was suggesting, in coordination with the person who is, whether is a Congress MLA or a BJP MLA or Congress MP or whoever may be, and especially to the police officer who has done the crime by not giving support or filing the F.I.R. as soon as they came. We will take up this issue very seriously. An inquiry will be conducted on this. Inquiry will be conducted on this. The report will be submitted in the website of the, Pramila Naidu, who is the woman chief, and the Mr. Halappa Achar, Women and Child Development Minister, will also address on this issue. Whether
Right.
it is a small issue or a big issue, issue is a issue. We want to solve the issue. But over and
Yes.
above all this, immediately after the show,
You've made a promise on
let
Urban Debate
that-
on Mirror
let
now,
that-
Mr. Mohan Krishna, and we really look forward to now action in this particular case because it is about the dignity of 2 women that we are concerned about. I'm completely out of time. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much, all of you,
Okay.
for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. We'll be tracking this story closely ahead as well. Heading into a very, very short break.